I didn't love myself, and you give power and influence to the wrong people. Look how it turns out. You have to hype yourself up, and nobody else on the external is hyping you up. You have Hello, and welcome back to Ascension with V. I am your host, Stashia Jeanette, aka V, and today I'm going to do a little Q&A from a recently viral thread that I had that started out as a response to somebody's post on Threads, and the original post was, "So, anybody studying death? If so, what have you found?" And my response was, "I've been resuscitated multiple times and have had multiple NDEs. This place is where you come to learn lessons and evolve as a soul. There are multiple different galaxies with different beings. The body turns to light when removed from the skin suit. The oceans are portals to other dimensions. You never truly die as long as your consciousness has evolved enough to transfer to another timeline, as multiple timelines exist at once." That response at this point right now, as I'm recording this on June 9th, 2026, has 4.5K likes, 44 comments, 87 reposts, 66 send outs, and 148K views. And that's like crazy to me, because people are truly fascinated essentially about the topic of death, but just diving in and talking about the things that I had gone through was really profound for me. And the way that people received it, I kind of went into detail essentially about what's happened with me and my having my rare diseases, and essentially how all of these near-death experiences and mishaps happened from me having procedures that were really not that serious, not overly complicated things. As interesting is real interesting, because the most serious surgery that I had, my ileorectal anastomosis, when I had my colon removed, was the simplest and easiest process that I had, and it was the most difficult surgery that I've experienced. And I've had over like 15 surgeries in my life thus far, and it's crazy to me in hindsight, looking back, that every time that I had a near death experience, or something went awry, or they had to hit me with the injection in the chest to try to bring me back, or they had to do some sort of emergent try to save the day situation. I think I've mentioned this on a podcast before, but I have a guardian angel doctor at this one hospital, where the two incidents that I'm in reference to, he swooped in like he just spawned in each time and saved me. He was the doctor who came in on the scene, just randomly came in on the scene, and my mom happened to be freaking out because her daughter was on the verge of death from, again, some medical mishap. And to this day, they're not going to give the exact happenings of what took place, but they were always in the recovery room. It was always after the fact type of situation when this took place. So, but this guardian angel doctor of mine saved me twice. He came to my rescue, and so shout out to you, guardian angel doctor. But yeah, so these experiences, just talking about the craziness of what I have seen and experienced, and not only that, but from birth, they had to kind of resuscitate me at birth after I wasn't breathing from the emergency C-section that I have. So wasn't breathing for 7 minutes, came out like a little blue Smurf baby, and they had to kind of do the whole process there. So just in general, I came into this world very intertwined with death. Like, I came into this world very intertwined with the spiritual realm and in the spiritual dimensions, and all the things that come along with that. And I every time that I've had some medical mishap, whether it be in the hospital or outside of the hospital, when something happened to me, it kind of hulked me up like a Super Saiyan. I always say that I come back like a Super Saiyan each time. So now I have this like wisdom, these experiences, and everyone has been very curious about them. So I'm going to read like a couple of the questions that I've had on this post and the responses that I gave to them. And if you guys have any other questions about anything that anything that I have expertise or experience in, then by all means, ask away, I am more than happy to oblige. So the first question that I had, let me get back to the first question was, can we transfer to a timeline of a world where on Earth it was a fantasy, but maybe in another timeline it could be reality? I came up with the answer of, it's quite an interesting theory. I know for sure that multiple timelines exist at once, so it's entirely possible that people get glimpses of other timelines that may seem like fantasy by way of dreams, vision, or otherwise. And to me, like I feel like that's a really highly probable thing because there's so many timelines that exist all the time. And if you guys watch my energy readings, my weekly readings, that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm pulling the energy of the timelines from other people. I'm pulling the energy. I feel the energy and I feel what's going on in other timelines and what's to come, right? So only Earth uses this time logic, right? Only Earth has the constraints of like past, present, future. You know, everywhere else it's just like now. It's just the now. It's just right here, right now. And so everything is existing now. And I find it entirely possible that people, just like when you have deja vu of something, right? Like, what is that you're seeing? What is it why do you have that feeling of like, oh, I've done this before. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I've seen this before. But where are you seeing it from? Like, these are phenomenons that I think that a lot of people have really perplexing questions to, but like don't really have an answer on. And this one kind of struck me as that same kind of question. Like, I do feel like it's entirely possible that you can transfer to a timeline that you felt like you were just dreamt up. And again, when you're manifesting something or when you're envisioning something for you, like ultimately that is a fantasy of yours. And I encourage people very frequently to, when they want something, when they are trying to attract something in, or when they're trying to align themselves with a higher timeline or with an outcome that they wish to have, the best way is to role play and to have that fantasy in your mind so much so that like you can feel it. I gave an example one time that like if you want to open a gym, you know, you want to be like a gym coach or whatever the case may be, the best way to get into that character and to feel that and to really feel you being in your own gym, coming in and clocking in to work every day, is you having like a little home gym at home where you are role playing every morning, like you're going in there and you are directing client to do the workouts while you're doing the workouts yourself, to really put yourself in the shoes, into the position of that which you are trying to manifest. And what is that? That's like a dream, that's like a fantasy, that's a reality that does not yet exist but at the same time does exist. I believe that the realm of the mind is infinite in possibilities. And the more that you are able to stay in your childlike mindset and the more that you're able to remove limitations from what is and what can be or what may be, the more that you have the power to bring in whatever timeline or possibility that you want. So in short, yeah, like I feel like that's entirely possible for it to happen. The next question that I had was, okay, I love this take, but is there anyone that can explain how family, friend, lover dynamics work then? Like the relationships we have with people are our loved ones, still our loved ones, or is it just a skin suit that's our loved one? Once you turn into light, do you see your loved ones too? My response was souls can recognize other souls. For me, even when I was fully detached from my body, I could still go and check in on my mother while everything was happening to me. I still knew that was my mom, even if it was a bit skewed. And basically, to expand on this, it's like the moments while they were working on my body, when guardian angel doctor had like rushed me away with all the nurses and other people that were working on me at the time, I could still go out into the waiting room and like see my mom having her meltdown and crash out. And similarly to when I was being born, like I could see my mom freaking out while they were trying to bring me back. Removed from this example entirely, what I have experienced is that people have the ability to recognize souls in general. I can talk to somebody at a distance and not ever see their face, but like I know their soul. And that's what I mean by like souls can recognize souls. Like your soul has the innate ability to recognize somebody who you have a connection with. And you may not be able to like always identify that connection as like, oh, this is husband, or like, oh, this is mother or father. And sometimes maybe you will, but I'm just giving my own personal experience with things. But I can absolutely like tell when I connect with a person, especially online, where I'm like, oh, we have history. You know what I mean? Like you can feel it. So that was kind of like my general response and answer to that. And I hope that kind of made sense. Another question somebody had, it wasn't really a question, but it was just like, I find it interesting that like all these people have these experiences, but they're not sober when it happens. And that then like I want to like put a caveat out there. I've never taken any kind of drugs to induce a spiritual experience at all, nor have I done anything to like I know people recreationally take DMT. The only time that I've experienced DMT is the times that I've like almost died. Right. So that's what your brain releases. Shout out to Dr. Val Rytova, behavioral neuroscientist, that gave me the info and the 411 on this. Y'all should definitely check her out. But she had gave me the lowdown on this. So this is absolutely a neuroscience backed explanation of DMT being something that is released from your brain like as you're dying, and it does have the ability to kind of like spiritually hulk you up in the way that I was talking about, of every time that I've had one of these experiences and essentially something happening to me almost every year for like a good 10 or more years of my life. It really did kind of put me in like Super Saiyan position with spirituality and spiritual abilities. So just to clarify that, like I've never used anything to have any of the experiences that I've had. Like this is just I've just I just won the shitty health jackpot, you know. The I got bingo on all rows for the rare disease thing. So it was a blessing and a curse almost at the same time, but not so much as a curse when you know how to utilize the blessings that's given to you. But it did make for a really rough teens and 20s years. Those two decades for me were brutal, but almost like a training ground, so to speak. So if I had to do things over, I would absolutely continue the path that I have currently, because it really did change me for the better and equip me with a lot of powerful gifts and abilities and wisdom to be able to share it with other people. Just a side note. Next question. Do you think we timeline jump when we've leveled up in our current experience? Not death, but broke a big pattern or remembered, so the current experience has changed to fit that version of you? My response was, I feel like this is accurate, at least in my own experience, where every time I've passed certain tests and lessons, I've grown and leveled up a lot to where I've outgrown my current timeline and I'm shifted to the next in alignment timeline. I had a recent reading where I mentioned doing a lot of solo leveling. If you guys haven't seen that, that would probably be a good one for you guys. It's one of my V Squad Oracle readings. If you go to that playlist recently, like in the last month, that talked about solo leveling, that would be a good plug for y'all if this particular question piqued your interest. But yeah, that's exactly what happens when you kind of like pass certain core soul lessons. You collect the keys to the doors. It unlocks the gates, and you go into the next timeline, to the next level, if you will, right? So when you grow and continue to evolve, my slogan is evolve or repeat. So when you are continually growing and evolving and changing and shifting, so too does your world, your timeline. And that's, yeah, that's it. That's the answer in the nutshell. So the next question was, I would love to know your opinion on someone who experiences clinical death and is brought back but has absolutely no memory of it, no NDE or awareness of the death event. And I just said, perhaps it just wasn't meant for that particular soul to remember what they'd experienced in their time outside of the body. Not everyone remembers, and that's okay. Sometimes the mind isn't capable of safely comprehending and digesting the phenomenon that comes with it. Yeah, because like I said, it's is kind of traumatic. Like it just, again, I can only speak from my own experience, you know. So like, don't come at me with like that's not what I can only speak from what happened with me and what I've experienced in my multiple times of having this situation. it's traumatic. You know what I mean? Like from hearing your loved ones screaming for you and seeing again just the surreal experience of being like literally hovering over your body and being able to look down and see your essentially like your corpse just there. In a few of the situations, I really was like, oh, damn, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Doesn't look like that one's gonna come back. Especially the one where I had C. diff and I got MSSE, and that was in 2021. Like my body was shot. My body was shot. And that one was brutal. Someone else asked me in this questions like, is it always peaceful and painless when you're transitioning or what have you? And I was like, no, I like, cause that one in the 2021 experience that I had, that was painful, like to the end. That was painful to the end. Like I felt like I had lava in my veins, and I had gotten such a high fever. Like I think at one point it had reached like 103.7. My blood was boiling. Like it was so hot. It felt like I had acid in my body constantly, and I was in so much pain, y'all. And I remember literally teetering from like spirit to physical, from like life to death, but I tried to keep myself detached and out of my body so much because my body was in so much pain. And I remember the times that I was outside of my body and like looking back at I was like, I knew, I was like, I'm not finna walk out of this hospital. Like it's a wrap. It's a wrap for me because looking at myself and then just looking at the situation was just not good. The situation was just not good. We were still in the COVID protocols, and so I couldn't have any visitations, and nobody was in there to be able to like check on me. So the only little bit of salvation that I had was that I went live on Facebook frequently because, like I said, I thought I was gonna die, I did die on that timeline. So hey, if you know, you know. So I would go on Facebook Live very frequently to kind of say my last will and testaments to people and say my goodbyes. And for some reason, like it brought me comfort to do so. But yeah, it's a traumatic experience to have the awareness of what was happening to your body in those moments of like limbo, right? When you're outside of your body, when you're essentially kind of like in that void space, in that holding space of you're not transitioned, but you're not still in your body. It's for me, I liked it. I enjoyed but I'm like I'm a weirdo. You know, I enjoyed the void space. I enjoyed the peace, the darkness that comes with it, and the like I said, the peace, the tranquility. It's like going out on the top deck of a cruise ship in the middle of the night, and you just look out into the abyss. It's what it's like. Soothing for some and terrifying for others, right? But that in itself can be like a really traumatic experience. But so it's not meant for everybody to remember what happens with them when they're in that like void space of teetering between life and death. You know what I mean? Like not everybody's mind is capable and prepared to remember the things that went on with their body in those times. And that's totally fine. So if you're one of those people, you know, who has had a near death experience, but like you you don't really remember what happened, like it's probably for the best. It's probably for the best. And like maybe sometime if you get to a point to where your mind feels like you're safe enough or you are strong enough mentally and emotionally to remember the things, then maybe it'll release those memories for you, right? Like releasing the Epstein files. You know, maybe your mind will release those files for you. So, but if not, then it's fine and be okay with that. The next question was which one of these experiences was the most fascinating to you personally? And I kind of already talked about it. Was the 2021 one when I got C. diff and then essentially subsequently got MSSE and went septic, and then they wanted to lie about it in my face to pretend like I wasn't actively in shambles and my body wasn't. So like I remember they came in there and they had to take this synovial fluid out of my knee, and the damn results came back and showed that I had essentially a septic arthritis in my knee. This is where it had gotten to, and I was like, oh shit, my body is cooked. Cooked. That one was the most fascinating, like I said, because it was really painful. I actively knew in that moment that I think also prior to me getting transferred to the hospital, and first of all, it wasn't really transferred because they owed me. They didn't like give me medical transport. They were, my local hospital was like, hey, so you have gotten to the point to where we can no longer treat you. The severity has reached the point to where we cannot treat you at this hospital. We're going to have to send you up to the specialty hospital. And they said they only going to hold the bed for you for like the next 10 and a half hours. It's a 10-hour drive. It was a 10-hour drive. They brought the ambulance people in there because obviously I was like very sick and on continuous antibiotics at the time, life-saving antibiotics, because again, we were still in COVID time. The ambulance people were like, yeah, so we're only going to take you if you pay us $8,000 cash. Like, what kind of scam are these people running? It was really an interesting time. I've been in a many spiritual wars, and I've seen a lot of like really interesting things when it comes to the spiritual side and perspective of watching the warfare take place. But this one was like a direct, you know what I'm saying? Like a direct orchestration. Like I saw it happening. So I think that's why I say this one was the most fascinating, is because I could literally watch what was being done to me be done, right? And like they were really dead set on making sure that I died, because the setup was insane. You gonna deny me, even though I had the insurance to have this medical transport up to the specialty hospital, unless we paid $8,000 cash. Like, we didn't have $8,000 cash to give. So my dad ended up taking me up there, and like, again, because you can't stop what's destined for you, and you cannot stop somebody who has the protection of the divine from getting to or doing what they are supposed to do or where they're supposed to be. Point blank, period. Regardless what kind of means or power or money or connections people think that they have, right? Like, I want to put this in here, drizzle this in to the podcast to let, in case anybody else is still on the battlefield right now, dealing with some of the similar nonsense. Like, just know they can try their damnedest. They can try their damnedest, but you cannot stop what the universe has in store for you. And regardless how much you may try to eliminate a chosen, or to eliminate an anointed, or to eliminate whatever title you want to give it, somebody that the universe has their hand and stamp on, you can't. You cannot. And like, again, I have rose from the crypt time and time again, and I shall, until my missions are completed here. Point blank, period. And so will you guys. A lot of us are eternal beings, and like I said in that one question, it, like, as long as your consciousness has evolved enough, you will never die. So anyways, I ended up getting in the back of my dad's truck, quite literally, like in a hospital gown, no clothes packed. I just laid down in the back of his truck, and we got there. But I did not have any antibiotics running. Like, there was no IV drip still going on me, which it should have been. So for like 10 hours, I didn't have the antibiotics that I need, which the setup was insane. The setup was insane. Like, if we disconnect her from the life-saving antibiotics that we have her on, and then we force her to take this 10-hour trip, surely the situation will have severely progressed to the point to where she won't survive. So anyways, so then once I got close to the facility, I almost saw me entering into like this dome of darkness. This is what I can only describe it as. They talk about like a purification barrier or a sacred dome of protection, but this was like the opposite. It was a dark, black, miasma-filled dome that I literally was getting ready to enter into, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be an ambush. And ambush it was. So the whole experience was really fascinating to sit back and watch and to go through. The reason why it was the most fascinating for me was not just what I've just said, but like, it was the fact that I felt my body breaking down. It's almost like I was experiencing the death process, but really sped up, but also slowed down at the same time at once type thing. These random spots were showing up on me, like these random bruises were showing up on me, but like nothing was happening to me. Like nothing happened, but these were happening all over my body, and none of the doctors could explain it. But also, these fools never wanted to like outright just come out and be like, hey, look, might not make it. But my body was quite literally breaking down, and I was watching it. I was witnessing it both in my body and external to my body. And I remember feeling like pissed off and really sad, and I went through like all these crazy emotions outside of my body and also when I was still within my body, and having to deal with everything and come to terms with everything really quickly, because like I said, I knew that body was gonna die there, you know what I mean, and I had to like very quickly come to terms and peace with it so that I could transfer. Really painful experience. And then a month later, I went and had my remaining ovary taken out. It just was a rough, like a really rough couple of months, and it was a lot of grieving. It was a lot of pain, and it was a lot of me seeing a lot of things and experiencing a lot of things that I did not think that I would be privy to, nor would I have the recollection of in any lifetime. And I wouldn't recommend that one to anybody. Like I highly I highly recommend nobody have the same type of experience that I had with that. But nevertheless, that was the most fascinating experience that I've had. Someone else said, "Why do you say the ocean is a portal? I've always loved the theory that the ocean is space on Earth, and that NASA first explored the sea before it transitioned to space, or the Bermuda Triangle, but I don't understand it." And I said, it's just what I've experienced firsthand. Every time I've left my physical body and spiritually went elsewhere, it was through the ocean, always coming out of the ocean. Not every portal is in the ocean, of course, but many between spirit and physical are. Again, only from my own personal experiences. And like, also, I'll add to that, like when you're in the womb, you're in water. Like it's very much like the water is the portal of life. There's also been like a lot of different other kind of portals that I've experienced as well, but I know for certain that the ocean holds a great many secrets, a great many entry and exit points to other realms and dimensions. How would you describe what people consider to be heaven or hell? I said, for me personally, I considered when I was at my lowest point in life to be hell, because my frequency was so low and I was so depressed. My mind projected the lowest vibrational experiences and people to me. It was also a training ground for me as well. You work your way up the frequency ladder, so to speak. Now, where I'm at in my life, I would describe it as heaven because I've achieved internal peace and balance. So, like that, where I was talking about in 2021, that was absolutely 2021 into the beginning parts of 2022, and in 2023 was hell. It was absolutely like it was the last push. And it's always like that for anybody listening who's right there, who's in the proverbial hell right now. If you are in the Mariana Trench, you're in the ultimate abyss right now, this is for you. It is always the worst experience that you will ever have in this body on this planet, right? When you're about to like punch through the I guess I would call it the gates, the rites of passage of the higher frequencies of heaven, right? I hate saying the thing that there's like levels to this, but there quite literally is. Like on a frequency scale, there is, when you are at your lowest vibration and frequency, that area, in the Mariana Trench, is those levels are rough. Those levels are rough. But the closer you get to like the threshold to where you can start experiencing good, where you start seeing a glimmer of light in the sea of darkness, that's the toughest, because it's like, let's see, can we break them before they get out? And it's again, just from what I went through, this was like, it was like all gas, no brakes constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like 2021 started it off, and then it just kept snowballing. It was attack after attack after attack. It was like constant war, constant. Well, she's alive on this timeline too. Let's get her. Well, she's alive on this timeline too. Let's get her. How much can we do to her before she breaks? How many times can we try to get rid of that one version of her, to prevent, her from showing up on this timeline or from, do you know what I'm saying? Like the constant trying to stomp me down was in abundance. It was brutal. And it's always right when you're on the precipice of escaping the abyss, when you're right there on the precipice of escaping hell, that shit just flies off the wall constantly for you. It's rite of passage. Only the strongest get out, and that's how it's supposed to be. Because again, once you pass that threshold, like there's none of this like tomfoolery fuckery happening up there. The beings of higher frequency and vibration don't interact. Is energetic dissonance. It is not compatible, right? So the riffraff and shit that happens in the abyss does not happen in the higher frequencies, because at that point, everybody understands the plan. Everybody understands what's happening. Everybody understands the game here. You know what I mean? So like that type of shit from the abyss is non-existence in the higher realms, because we already know what it is. Like, we already know what's going on. We already know the plan. It's like, oh, okay, that's what's happening here. We're very aware of everything, so it's rite of passage to make sure that you are who you are, and you deserve access to the calm waters, right? That you're not gonna get up here and start acting a fool and start trying to cause ripples and waves and rough seas in the higher realms and the higher frequencies, right? So it is very much a rite of passage, and not everybody gets out. Not everybody makes it out. And if there is one thing that I can tell you all, is you better try your damnedest to keep it 10 toes down in this process. If you are where I'm talking about, if you are here in the precipice, of getting out of the abyss, they gonna try you. They will try you, and that is part of it. It is part of it. But if you got heart, if you got soul, if you are determined for your own sake and well-being to make it out, you will make it out. Point blank, period. The next question is, how does one evolve their consciousness? I said, out of evolving or doing anything the soul and consciousness would perceive as painful or unpleasant. Not everyone has chosen to evolve because the path is so difficult, right? Like that's a real thing. Not everybody chooses, and a lot of people don't choose to participate in this ascension journey, and to participate in healing, and to participate in growing and all the things, because like, look, let's like rewind what I've said. This is not like a trip to the theme park. This is not like a relaxing vacation sitting underneath a cabana getting fanned and fed fruit. Like, this is war. Like, this is your ass is on the front line. You're at boot camp. You at training. You are getting pieced and socked out frequently. Like, it's not a fun time. It's like, while you are in the abyss, while you're here trying to climb your way up the proverbial Jacob's ladder here, and to get out, it's not a fun time. And that's the only way that you get rite of passage and access into the sweet life. It really is, and so the process of going through the things that I've talked about is how one begins to evolve their consciousness. It's how you begin to grow as a soul. It's how you are completing your soul lessons. Like, people always talk about like, oh, I had such a painful experience with this person or that person and this thing and that, and like, yeah, you're ticking off check boxes of your soul's contract of what you were required to experience and learn to grow as a soul, as an individual. And somebody had commented and said like, well, what does me getting SA'd, have to do with this, that, and the third. Like, what did I learn from this or whatever? And like, again, my response was something along the lines of like, just speaking personally, you know, from my own experience, like it made me more protective and more of an advocate for others, right? So like when I see some weird shit, first of all, like I remember when I lived up in Cleveland, I went to the club twice while I was up there. Never will I ever go to another club again. Terrible experiences. Don't recommend it. 0 out of 10, zero experience. But I saw somebody holding like trying to put not Vaseline, Visine in girls' drinks. And like if y'all don't know, Visine is like a tranquilizer dart in alcoholic beverages. Visine is something that if y'all are going to the clubs, especially young ones, be aware. Don't let nobody come around your drinks, hold your drinks with you, take your drinks with you. Do not walk away from your drinks, and don't accept a drink that somebody has sent over to you. Point blank, period. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just period on that. But be aware that guys will use anything but Visine. Put Visine in your drinks to use as like a tranquilizer to lure your ass up out of there. Don't do it. Stay vigilant. So when I was up there, I saw that shit frequently, and I called people out. Hey, what are you doing over there with that shit? What you doing? You know? Yeah, like I became hyper vigilant, you know, and I'm very much it almost had kind of like an activation of warriorism within me. You know what I mean? Like for a while I was really mousy and you know, timid and shy and like afraid. And then after a while, when I saw younger girls or like things that were red flags that I didn't know were red flags when I was like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, like things that I didn't see then, I now see in younger people. And like, I will speak up and cut that shit off at the path for others. The experiences that I've had with that had taught me a lot about not just myself, but like the world at large and how people, how men, not just men though, you know, I mean, not men are not the only people that are capable of doing some heinous things in life to others, to innocent people. So it's not just that, but in general, it taught me a lot about having to be aware of who's around me. And and more times than not, they are not strangers. They are not strangers. So it really did, it taught me a great deal of things and how to be protective of others and how to teach that knowledge and that same level of protection and how to arm and educate younger women to protect themselves as well. So literally, quite literally, every single thing that you go through and experience has a reason, regardless how shitty the experience may be. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it like acceptable, but there is a reason, and you do grow and you do evolve and you do tick off the requirements on your soul's core lessons and contracts by going through these things and learning the lessons and applying the lessons in your life. But things like this, everything that you experience in life when you have chosen this path of ascension, of healing, of growing is a way that one has to evolve their consciousness. You cannot evolve your consciousness by using drugs. I don't care. You know, y'all can be mad about it as much as you want, but the drugs only act as like a what do I want to call it? Like a crutch. Like it's not your actual ability. You know, you're using something external to you to have a spiritual experience or to like have those spiritual, like if the only time that you can connect into source and get information or see things or experience things is while you're under the influence of any kind of substance, you yourself have not done enough of the inner work. That's like that inner child wound healing. That's that you going within and addressing your mommy and daddy issues. That's you going within and into your mind and addressing your traumas and your your baggage and unpacking the shit that you would rather not deal with. Like, this is you being a conscious person, a consciously active person in your own existence, instead of being like an NPC or like just being a passive person in your life, and like being on autopilot mode, and not being conscious and aware of what's happening, right? Like, so the latter is how one does not evolve. That's like an example of somebody who has chosen to not be on this path. Like, they don't want to do any of the aforementioned things that we've talked about, and like, I get it, because again, this is not a time, it's not like a vacation. It's not a vacation. It's really tough shit. So you have to literally do these things on your own, soberly, to have a lasting, literal connection with source, and to actually identify and utilize your own abilities, right? Like, it's rite of passage. You get these things by going through the rites of passage. Like, spiritual gifts and abilities are not just handed out because you're under the influence, right? Like, it's great, you got a little taste of it while you were on whatever substance, be it psychedelics, mushrooms, acid, whatever the case may be, whatever it is people are taking to have some sort of spiritual experience. It's like a cheat. It's like a cheat. It's like it's almost like the students, the jockeys in high school, where like they passed, they always got aces on all the things just because they were like the star player of the football team, or like of the baseball team. If they played sports, then they automatically passed their classes because they needed to, they had to have passing grades to play on the team. But like, they didn't do a lick of work or study to know the material. They literally didn't know the material. They didn't know anything. They just had the, you know what I mean? They're like, well, hey, I'm here. I showed up, and they graduated. But like, you will not pass if you have not done the work, right? So you can continue to try, and you can dip your toe into the spiritual world and realms, but like, you have got to really do the work within yourself to establish your own literal, like, natural connection to source and your own spiritual abilities. And you only find that by diving deep within. It's within you. You know what I mean? You have it, but it requires you to do the work. Yeah. And basically, that's the biggest hitting questions that I have. We're at like an hour, so I'm gonna cut it here. But if y'all have any other questions about the topic at hand, anything just that comes to mind that you would like me to try to expand on, or to explain, or to touch on any more, I'd be more than happy to do so. And yeah, that's what I got for you guys. I hope this was helpful. Thank you all for all your likes, shares, subscribes, donations, and all the things. And I have the New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension available on Amazon. And the Love and Light But Ready to Fight merch is also available for purchase, as well as the V Squad Oracle deck that I use in my weekly readings. And with all that being said, if you are interested in having a one-on-one session with me, or creating your own custom one-on-one package with me, or having an energetic diagnostic session, or any of the other things that I offer, links, or my website is ascensionoraclev.com. Has all the things there on it as well. But until next time, I'll see you guys. Toodaloo, V Squad.